Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. I know it's been quite a while since I posted any kind of video or any kind of update about the car. Um, it's kind of a long story. I'll kind of briefly go through it and kind of touch all the key points and let you know what's been going on and basically why we haven't been posting anything about the car. And then there's been quite a few changes with the car that I'll go over quickly with you, and and we'll go from there. Um, so obviously, you guys know 2020 there wasn't a whole lot going on because all the stuff that was going on around the world. So tracks were closed, and we really just didn't get any racing in at all. Start of 2021, we went out and the very first outing, the very first run of the very first outing, left the line, got halfway down the track, and the motor kind of laid over. It started smoking real heavy out of one bank of the exhaust. Didn't really know what would happen, but I got out of it, coasted down, and then once I got off the track, I got out, looked. I didn't really see anything. The exhaust on the passenger bank was wet, but other than that, there was nothing leaking out of the car. You know, it didn't throw a rod out of it or nothing. So I tried to start it back up, and it was hydro locked. So I knew at that point, we were done for the day. Winched it back up on the trailer, took it home. When I got it home, I pulled the plugs out of it, and I think it was number 5 or number 6 on the passenger side. A bunch of fuel. Once I cranked it over with the plugs out, a bunch of fuel came out of number 5 or number 6. So I knew it was hurt. After doing a little investigating of it, found that the injector on that cylinder had hung open. And then eventually I dug a little deeper and found out that it was actually the injector driver on the Mega Squirt had shorted, had failed, and it hung the injector wide open. So anytime there was fuel pressure, anytime the pump was on, electric pump was on, it was just pouring fuel into that cylinder. Did a compression test on it. It was lower than all the others, but it wasn't significantly lower. It was, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. All the other cylinders are at like 160, 165, and I want to say this one was like 140-ish, 145. It was different enough to be concerning, but it wasn't, catastrophic. It didn't have zero compression or no compression at all. So I was hoping that it didn't hurt nothing. So at that point, I was done with the Mega Squirt. I was already, partially over it. It's limited in what it can do, and I had planned on upgrading eventually, but that just kind of pushed it to the forefront. I had to do something because at that point the computer was no good. The Mega Squirt was fried. It can't run. That injector driver was dead. So I ended up upgrading and getting a Holly Dominator and installed that onto the car. Shortly after I got it put on there, I got the car running, and I noticed that like when I tried to put it on the trans brake and get up on the 2-step, it wouldn't get there. It would go up to about 3,200, and then it would just kind of, it just didn't have enough nuts to get through the converter to get up to, the 4,000, 4,500 2-step that I need to be at. I dicked with a tune every which way that I could think of, and it just would never get over that. It just didn't have enough bottom end nuts to get over that the hump on that converter. So I knew something wasn't right because before it hydro locked that cylinder, it had no problem. It would get up to that 3,400, and then it would just it would work its way up past her within 2-3 seconds. It'd get up to the 4,500, and we'd be good to go. So I figured something was probably hurt. I was figuring maybe it bent the rod a little bit, but I didn't know. So I pulled the motor out of the car, tore it down, and found the rod was bent on that cylinder, unfortunately. So at that point, I had the stuff to do the stroker, and to do the high compression methanol build. I had most of the parts. I had all the hard parts for the engine. I showed in probably the last video I uploaded. I showed parts that I had. I still needed a bunch of stuff to make the conversion, but I figured now was better time than any. So uh, I took all the stuff, all the hard parts that I had, and took the stuff down to TKM and got all the machine work done. They did everything, all the balancing, the boring, the honing, decking the block, the heads, doing the valve job. They did a whole bunch of stuff. Anyways, I got all that stuff back, put the motor together, and got it set back in the car. And I may or may not have mentioned it, but we were going to a methanol setup on it, getting rid of the E85 and just going mechanical pump methanol. And I got all that stuff bolted on there. And when I went to put the turbos back on, I realized that they were no longer, well, the driver's side would still fit, but the passenger side of the CG fabrication turbo kit wouldn't fit no longer with the pump mounted on the passenger side. So I had to basically go through and completely rebuild the hot side. From the manifolds would work, but from the manifolds to the turbos, and then the cold side up, from the turbos to the throttle body, I had to completely redo. And that took some time, man, because I didn't realize it, but now I do. Stainless pipe, tubing or whatever, is not cheap, and neither is a 4-inch and 3-inch, aluminum bends and shit. That stuff's pricey, so it took me a little while to save up and get all the necessary odds and ends and shit that I needed to get this thing put together. So we got 90% of it, 95% of the stuff that I need, and so I was able to get the hot side built and the cold side built too. So that's kind of where we're at. So we got so for guys that don't know, that haven't watched, the new motor is like a 12 1/4 to 1. It's a high compression deal. It's a stroker and 4-valve mod motor. It's nothing exotic really. It's just just your everyday 4-valve mod motor with a little more cubic inches and a little bit of compression in it. So it's nothing special. It's just got everyday stock C heads, 9-thread C heads on it, with a hold on one sec. I always forget the name of the fucking intake manifold. Sullivan. It's got a Sullivan intake on it with I think it's a Holly elbow, and a throttle body on it. So it's nothing special, but that's where we're at. So we're on the Holly Dominator now. We got the methanol motor going in, or it's in now. I had to do a motor plate on it so that I could mount the pump and everything. So, but that's basically where we're at. That's just kind of touching on the highlights of it. But I'll turn the camera on. I'll show you what we got, and then kind of explain what we're waiting on and where we're planning to go from here. So, originally the turbos, if you're new, the turbos were originally placed. They were right up. One was here, and then one was facing here with the exhaust side of the turbine side facing in, and it had the exhaust coming up in the middle. That would no longer work with that mechanical pump sitting down there. Now you can see it right. Let's see if I can point out right there. That guy right there. I had to put a motor plate on it and mount the mechanical pump there. So the turbos will no longer fit there. So I had to do something different, and this layout is what I came up with. It worked, and seemed like the easiest way to mount them, to be able to support the turbos, and make it pretty simple. Because I'm not a fabricator by any means, guys. I'm just I probably welded aluminum maybe 3 times in my life, so I wanted to make it as simple as I could. I was still making it functional, but I wanted to make it easy for me to be able to fabricate this stuff. So this is what I came up with. So like I said, here's a motor plate deal. This is the stainless hot side coming into the turbo. It does a little 180 into the hot sides of these turbos, and the same, you can kind of see the one over there. It does the same thing into that turbo. And then for the hot side stuff, these are BorgWarner S366s, the old cast wheel tractor turbos, old school technology, but they work good and they're inexpensive. That was the main thing. For what they are, they do a pretty good job. But the inside diameter of the outlet on the 366 is 2.5 inch, but the outside diameter of the actual flange, this part of the turbo, is 3 inch. So I picked up these 3-inch PQY. They sell them on Amazon and eBay. They're like a Vangeon clamp, like the what the hell is the other big name? Vibrant. Vibrant makes a brand. Vibrants are $150 a piece. You can pick these up for I think I paid $30 a piece for them, or maybe $30 for the 3-inch ones, and then the 4-inch one was $35 or something. But really inexpensive, and from the research that I've done, they hold up pretty good. So we're gonna take a shot on them. But anyways, I went from 3-inch out, and then I had to go from a 3-inch to a 4-inch because I couldn't find any 4-inch merges or whatever the hell you want to call these. I wanted a 3-inch, dual 3-inch to a 4-inch, but I couldn't find it. So I had to get a 4-inch to, a dual 4 to a single 4. So anyways, I transitioned from 3 to 4 on both sides, and then it's just a straight 4-inch up to the 4-inch throttle body. And then another Vangeon clamp up there, or Vangeon stock clamp up there. And so yeah, we got that stuff all finished up. The turbos are mounted. The mechanical fuel pump is a 10.5 gallon pump. And then I got the filter. Let's see if I can give you a quick peek of what I done. This is the fine 10 micron filter, and then on the inlet to the pump is our 100 micron filter. I got to figure out a way to mount that. And then over here, what I did is, if you're not familiar with mechanical injection stuff, a lot of times it's a pain in the ass to get fuel pressure built up to get them to start after they've sat for a little while. So to avoid that, what I did was I took one of my old 380 liter per hour AM pumps that I used to use on the E85 setup, and on one of the outlets from the cell to the inlet to the pump, I just teed into it with a check valve, and I feed directly into my fuel pressure regulator, which will then in turn feed into the fuel rails on that side, and then it crosses over in the back and then feeds in that as a supply or outlet from the pump supply into the engine. So I can just click that on for 3 or 4 seconds, get 50-60 pounds of fuel pressure into the rails, and then fire it up, and then run it off the mechanical pump after that, and not have to worry about cranking it and hoping that it builds a couple pounds of fuel pressure enough to get it to start. So anyways, that's what we're doing. I've got some Stainless Bros 3-inch stuff here. I still need some more, but like I said, that shit's expensive, so I haven't gotten it all. But we're going to go back to using the fender exits. So I got to get a little more 3-inch stuff, stainless, to build the downpipes and the downpipe on that side into that fender well there. Trying to think if there's anything else. Fuel cell is now going to be in the front. This is a small 5 gallon, 4 or 5 gallon. I could have done a cable drive setup, but one, you can't get a cable right now. They're extremely hard to get, and there's a long wait on them. And I just really didn't want to stick with mounting the shit in the back, and it was just going to be easier for me to get a smaller fuel cell, mount it in the front, and feed, gravity feed it to the pump there that way, and not have any issues. So that's the way I went with it. Got a new regulator, a higher flow, mounted directly on the return on the fuel cell. So, any return fuel will just go right through the regulator and drop right down into the cell. So pretty easy setup, but that's where we're at. I just got done finished up with this cold side stuff, so hopefully, within a couple weeks I can get this stuff to finish the exhaust and get that stuff buttoned up. Then I can just lay the harness back in, plug everything in. I may have to extend a couple wires because, things like the fuel pressure sensor has moved up front a little ways, so I'll probably have to extend that. And, different little odds and ends like that. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at, guys. Trying to think if there's anything else that, has really changed. But that's pretty much surmises no water anymore. The block's filled. We're still going to run water through the heads. Yeah, I forgot that's another thing. So that coolant reservoir is pressurized. It's got a cap on it. It runs from the bottom of it to the back. You ain't gonna be able to see it, but I knocked out one of the core plugs on the back of this cylinder head. Put a fitting in there that accepts, or actually, it's the cooling. What do you call it? The cooling head, cylinder head mod, cooling mod, or whatever you call it. Them plugs and go into the back of the cylinder head there, and there's a crossover to that cylinder head. So what is going to happen? You're going to fill it from here. That'll fill the system, both heads. And then the way it's going to work is I got a little Davies Craig pump here. It's a little small, I think it's a 5 gallon a minute pump. Let's see if I can get you a better shot. Let's see, that guy right there. So what it is how I've got it currently plumbed is let's see if I can get you a shot here. Let's see. So it's going to come out of the pump. You guys can't really tell, but it does a 90 here. And it's going to go into the cylinder head. Your normal, what do you want to call it? Crossover delete on a 4-valve mod motor. It goes into the cylinder head there. It'll go through the cylinder head. It's got that hose in the back that crosses it over to the back of that cylinder head on the driver's side. It'll go through the front. It'll come out that hose. Out of that hose, repurposed an old oil cooler, cleaned it out. It'll go through the cooler, out of the cooler, and you can't really see the hose, but there's a hose that runs from the top of that cooler, this guy right here, it does a little hoop there, back into the pump, and then it'll take it and recirculate it again. Like I said, that'll be where the fill point is, and the overflow, I'll have to do something from that push connect fitting into another little container just in case it ever pushes coolant out of there. It'll have somewhere to go, hopefully, not under the tires. The can next to it is for transmission overflow. So I'll run a line from the bottom of that to the vent on the TH400, and if it does end up pushing any fluid out, it'll hopefully drain back down because that's downhill. The transmission is downhill from this container, so hopefully it pushes fluid out, it'll go back in as it cools down. I didn't have a vent anytime a catch can on it the last couple of years, and that's a mistake because all it takes is one time you overheat the transmission and it pukes fluid halfway down the track at 130 mile an hour, and you're in the wall and then screwed. So it's cheap insurance. I should have done it before, but I didn't. But now I got it, so that's a good deal. So I'm trying to think, man, if there's anything else that's really changed. I don't think so. Oh, the gears have changed. I put 373s. I took 327s out and went to 373s. The mod motors, they don't have any nuts down low. They don't make a bunch of torque. And to get them off the line, you really need either a ton of boost or some gearing to get you moving. And the suspension I haven't got squared away, so I went and put a 373 to get a little more gearing, to get the thing off the line. And now with the Dominator, I could do a lot of things with timing off the line to help the car get off the line without spinning, and also to be able to use more boost to do it. Because before, if I left off any more than 5-ish pounds, 5.5 pounds, it was pretty certain it was going to spin unless the track was really good. Now if I can get the car to leave off 12, 13 pounds, It'll help get the car moving into 60 foot, but it'll also get these tractor turbos, closer to their efficiency range. Because before, if I was leaving on 5 pounds at 4,500, it would take it a little while for these turbos to wake up. I'd be out to the damn near the 60 foot before I got to 16, 17 pounds. So hopefully if I leave on 11, 12, 13 pounds at 4,000 or 4,500, it'll be closer to their efficiency range, and they'll be able to get to target boost at the 60 foot and not, way out. And it'll really help out the front half of the, for the car. So that's the game plan. Obviously, it's going to take some time to get the bugs and kinks worked out of it, but I'm excited to do it. So I think that was everything that's really changed since the last time I made a video. I think that was it. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much everything. I just gotta wait on a few more things that I gotta buy still. So when the funds become available, I'll get them, and then we'll finish this thing up and hopefully get it to the track I'm hoping within the next month or so. Milan, my local track, was finally sold, and another couple guys had bought it, and they're reopening it this year, so that'll help out. Instead of having to drive all the way to 131, which is a 2-hour drive each way for me, Milan's only 40 minutes, half hour, 40 minutes each way, so it'll make it easier to get out there to get this thing shook down and get it working good, to then hopefully be able to hit up some of the local races in the area. So that's the game plan anyway. So we'll hopefully get the stuff that we need to finish up and get it out there. But yeah, if you want to, appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry that it's been so long since I made a video, but after that whole deal of the finding the bent rod and everything, for one, it took a while to get the other motor put together, machined and everything, but I was kind of over it for a little while at that point. So but we're back at it, and hopefully we'll have some more videos come out soon with the car at the track. So all right, appreciate it, guys. We'll see you on the next one.